Welcome to Yin Yoga Lifestyle. I am your host, Colette Darville. Cultivating our body's resilience and inner silence and its application to all aspects of your life. Let's become enlightened and enjoy the power of intuitiveness and creativity. You are listening to Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I am your host, Colette Darville, and this is Yin Yoga Lifestyle. So now let us take a deep meditative breath. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. The Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, MAPS Canada, that's an abbreviation, MAPS Canada, is committed to planning, conducting, and publishing scientific research and education supporting the beneficial uses of psychedelic medicines, including treatment for medical conditions, neuroscience, creativity, and spirituality. Supported by rigorous scientific evaluation of risks and benefits, and through partnerships with academic, health, hospital, and community organizations, MAPS Canada envisions a world where psychedelic therapies are legal and widely available. Current research with psychedelics is yielding promising results in the treatment of trauma, end-of-life anxiety, depression, and addiction. MAPS Canada is the organization that has been spearheading a lot of this important work in Canada. Working with MAPS Canada is Shannon Smadella, who is a yogic science educator, international master teacher, and life wellness coach and personality. She has toured the world as a coach, author, speaker, and was a former Miss Canada. Shannon has an extensive background in business and consulting. She is a Yoga Alliance certified teacher, registered yoga teacher 500 hours, and a Chopra Center meditation instructor with over 8,000 hours of teaching and 12 years of experience. She holds space for transformation in various classes, workshops, and trainings around the world. Through Shannon's hard work and dedication, she is not only spearheading the launching of the current MAPS webinar series, but she is also the host. Welcome to Yin Yoga Lifestyle, Shannon.
Thanks so much, Colette, for having me here today.
You're welcome. And Shannon is all the way in Vancouver, so we're kind of doing a total diagonal across North America here. So she's up a lot earlier than we are, so thanks again for being here.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
Shannon, can you explain to our listeners what MAPS Canada is all about?
Yes, absolutely. And again, on behalf of MAPS Canada, thank you for having us on the podcast.
Oh, you're so welcome.
So MAPS Canada, as you mentioned, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, is a registered charitable nonprofit Canadian organization. And we are an affiliate organization of the original MAPS, which is based out of Santa Cruz, California.
Yes.
And that was founded way back in 1986 by Rick Doblin. So with MAPS, we further our mission, which you mentioned, largely by a few things, which is providing evidence-based public education about the risks and benefits of psychedelics. We also support scientific research into many of the aspects of psychedelics, including treatments for medical conditions. But we also are responsible for planning, conducting, and publishing scientific research of psychedelic medicines. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, developing psychedelics into prescription medicines. But a big part of what MAPS is doing in the coming years will be to involve training psychedelic psychotherapists and working to establish a network of treatment centers that can provide these services. Eventually you'll be able to actually go into a treatment center and receive these treatments that we're doing studies on right now.
Wow. Yeah. And how did you become involved with the organization?
It was probably about 3 years ago, and it definitely has to do with my interest and background in yoga and meditation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I actually stumbled upon an event that they were holding in Vancouver, and Gabor Mate was speaking.
Mhm.
And he deals a lot with addictions, and that's something that through yoga and through meditation you end up working with in mental health. And the founder of MAPS, Rick Doblin, was also speaking, as well as Mark Hayden, who's the executive director for Canada. And it was just super interesting. And when you're working with meditation and you're going into these higher states of consciousness for healing, and then you find another tool that can also
Yes.
do the same, it's really exciting. So that's really what kind of intrigued me. It's like, what can these medicines do to heal, similar to what the healing that we're doing in meditation and yoga and whatnot. So that was about 3 years ago.
Wow.
And I remember attending a lunch with both Rick and Mark, and they said, the future of Maps Canada is at this table, and we're all still here 3 years later. So I'm super passionate, about just doing what I can as a volunteer. I'm a volunteer for MAPS, and we're trying to do everything we can to raise human consciousness and give our part to the world. So,
And you're very busy anyway.
oh, so busy on top of being a mom.
Yes, you're busy. You're teaching yoga, teaching meditation. You're doing this. Yeah, you must be excited about the organization if you really are willing to put well, quite a bit of time into it. And we'll get to that in a little while. Um, and I know that there's been much success with like post-traumatic stress, and especially with war veterans coming back from really feeling quite damaged when these people come back from war-torn and countries. Can you talk a little about this?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So right now, MAPS is studying whether MDMA assisted psychotherapy. So that means using MDMA in a therapeutic setting, not in a party setting,
Right, right.
um,
Yeah.
can help heal these psychological and emotional damages caused by the trauma that we see in a lot of these war veterans. So this would ideally have a huge impact, and already has, in the
Yeah.
studies with the trauma suffered by war veterans. So there's studies going on both in Canada and the US studying MDMA for PTSD. And as we know, PTSD is something that's extremely hard to work with. So that's what MAPS is doing right now. And in
And
the
it takes
therapy.
a lot of research, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Right now, we're in phase 3 of the clinical trials to legalize MDMA psychotherapy treatment. So there's a
Yeah.
lot that goes into it, and the studies have shown at the primary endpoint and at the 12-month follow-up, PTSD symptoms were significantly reduced when compared with baseline after all of the groups studied had the full dose of MDMA. So it was found that active doses of MDMA with adjunctive psychotherapy in a controlled setting were effective and well tolerated when reducing PTSD symptoms in veterans and even first responders.
My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now I have a question. Actually, I'm going to jump to another question here that I have for you because I want to make this everybody aware of what's going on and what's being offered by MAPS. Your skills in education, so as a yogic science educator and a business consultant, has helped you to create and launch the MAPS current webinar series. Can you talk about the series and what that's all about, and also too how people can sign up for it as well?
Yes, absolutely. So right now we are running a webinar series as part of a fundraising campaign. And the fundraising campaign that we are running is in hopes of raising $250,000. It's a small amount when you look at how much is actually required to forward this research. Millions of dollars are required for this
Yeah.
research. So right now we're in the middle, actually at the end of this campaign, and the webinar series is a fundraising effort to raise the rest of that $250,000. So in the series, it consists of 14 episodes, and we are 3 episodes in. So we have 11 left, and it's great because people can join anytime. So even if they join on the 10th episode, all of the episodes are recorded and they can watch them at their own convenience. We have some amazing speakers. I'll be speaking with Dennis McKenna next week, and then Paul Stamets, who's a mycologist and just amazing. Duncan Trussell is going to be on the podcast or the webinar series. Chris Dyer, who's artist from actually Canada and Peru, who does psychedelic
I
art.
know about him. He's amazing.
Yeah, and Zoe Helen, Bia Labate, and so many more. So we've had episodes already with our executive director, Mark Hayden, a shaman and plant healer, Shuni Giron from Guatemala. We even had Chris Killam, who's a yogi, and he's called the Medicine Hunter. He was on just this past Tuesday. It's extremely interesting. And many more.
You also have an offer, don't you? I don't want people to miss this because it's really something that Maps Canada, the webinar, because you have 20% off until Sunday, June 14th at midnight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you just explain that a little bit? Because I
Yeah,
want to make sure that we get that in so that people can, sign up for your webinar.
for sure. Thank you so much. And it's just for your listeners.
Aha.
So they need to go to mapscanada.org. And when they click on purchase tickets, they just need to type in YIN 20. So YIN 20, and they'll get 20% off. And then we're giving that discount all the way up until Sunday, June 14th at midnight, just for your listeners. And that's for the whole series they can get. We have it very fairly priced at $111 Canadian. Due to COVID, but if anyone's really struggling and they really want this information, they can email us and sign up for free as well.
That's great. And you also, I just want to talk because you do so much, and as human beings, we need to support each other. Now you have a free Yoga Nidra course too coming up, don't you?
Yeah, I do. It's launching next week, and it's 3 Yoga Nidra sessions along with a guided relaxation meditation. And I'm a member of the Yoga Alliance, and I can offer the Yoga Alliance continuing education credits. So there's 5 continuing hours with that as well. And I'm offering it for free because Yoga Nidra is so amazingly healing, as you know, and just getting into that, the subconscious and doing the rewiring and the releasing of trauma and the healing that we need to do, that we all need to do.
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
And and they would just go to, where would they go for that?
They can go to insight-global.ca, and they just need to type in the code YINFREE. So YINFREE.
And look for Shannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Now, and I wanted to get that information in before we went any further. Now, I have a question for you. You work with psychedelics, include research into the states of consciousness reached through ceremonial and therapeutic use of the various medicines. Why is this such an important area of study?
It is a hugely important area of study for multiple reasons. First of all, one has to understand that due to multiple factors as a society, we not only think too much.
Yes, I agree with that.
And scientific studies now show that this is a huge cause of illness because of the fight or flight response, causing multiple chemical reactions in the body that aren't conducive to health. But we've also suffered collectively enormous trauma ancestrally, and we know that this is now passed down in DNA. So there's so much healing that needs to take place. And as yogis, we know that energy, travels on the spoken word. So talking will release some of this energy, and as will yoga. But we also know that we need to go into different states of consciousness in order to get this healing. So, we usually know the three, the waking, sleeping, dreaming, the three states of consciousness that every human is in order to be in a